Hello everyone. So in this video, I'll be going over your homework assignment, and I'll be doing. I'll try to explain uh, at least half of it, how to do it, and then once you understand half of it, then you'll be able to finish the whole assignment. So let's get started on the homework assignment. So this will be your homework assignment. It is actually not published right now, so it will be published with this video, so you'll have a better understanding of how to finish that assignment. So every single bullet point is an instruction that you need to complete on for your coding. For right now, the first instruction is include 3-line comment top of your program that says programming 102, or I'll go and change that to dev 108, lab activity 1, today's date, and your name. So in this case, it'll be my name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be switching back and forth between this page and PyCharm. So this is the PyCharm. If you don't have PyCharm, please watch my previous video, the introduction video, how to download and install PyCharm and how to set up Python with it. So you have everything ready to go. So let's get started. So the first instruction, let's pull up the other window. Where did it go? Come on. There you go. So include a 3-line comment that says programming dev 108, lab activity 1, today's date, and your name. Let's get started. So a comment in a programming is something that is not read by compiler. So when you run this right here, so let's do a print statement. Print statement is something you want to print to the screen, and it is a function, and anything that you put inside it will be printed to the screen. So let's say my name. So this is actually not a comment, right? So this is a command. You're telling something in programming language, the compiler, to do something. So run it, my name is printed. So the comment, if I don't want the compiler to see this line, there are two different types of comment you can do. So one is a line comment. A line comment is just gets rid, so the compiler does not see this line as a code. Now this is a comment. So if I run it now, my name is not printed because this line is ignored by the compiler. Compiler is what runs the code, which is just PyCharm in this case. Yep. So if they have 3 comments that we need to add, so we'll get into the second type of comment in a minute, but they want you to write dev 108, and what else? Forgot. Lab activity 1. Lab activity 1. The next thing they want you to add is, let's see, what is it? Today's date and your name. Sorry about that. Today's date. Today's date, let's do 12/20/2025. That is the date. And let's do my name, and that would be responders. So 3-line comment, 3 comments, 1, 2, 3, with all those stuff. So now we're done with the first instruction. Now we can go ahead and move to the next one. Now these 3 comments are ignored by the compiler. If I run it, nothing happens, nothing printed to the screen. These are just for someone who's reading your code. So when you have like thousands of lines of code, you need to be able to tell them who wrote the code and all that, define what the code is doing. This is how you do it at the top of the file. And this is very common, and it's mostly required by the industry, any company you work for, that you explain your code, and you explain your code in a form of comment in plain English. And that's what the comments are used for. All right, so the next instruction that we have is, let's go back. Output hello world to the screen. So output hello world to the screen. Output means print something, right? So whenever you hear output, we're going to be outputting a string output. I'm printing output. They want you to print hello world, just like this. So now if I run it, this is not a comment, this is an instruction. You're giving the computer to do something, and it's going to do it. It's going to print this string. Remember, anything in quotation is a string, and it gets printed to the screen. Next we have is add two numbers together and output the math equation total to the screen, i.e. 10 plus 55 equals to 55. So there are multiple ways you can do this. So I'm actually going to copy this right here, and I am going to put this in my code so I don't have to go back and forth. So I'm going to put it right there and divide that up into 2 lines. So I don't have to go back and forth because I am going to forget what numbers I need to put in. All right. And there are multiple ways you can do that. Add two numbers together. You can create variables. Remember, variables are something that holds a value. So we can create a variable. We can do num1 equals to 10. And then we have num2 equals to 55. And now they want you to print 10 plus 55 equals to 65. You can do it this way. So you can do print num1. And the print statements, you can print one thing just like this, or you want to print multiple things, you can divide that up using a comma. So they want you to print in this format. So we just got number 1. We're going to print this. And then we need to print a plus sign. That actually goes in quotation because that would be a string. And then we have num2. That would be the value 55 right here. And then we need to print an equal sign, right? And you can't just print an equal sign like this because you need to print it to the screen, right? Anytime you want to print something to the screen, it has to go in a form of a string. And remember, anything in quotation is a string. And the last thing we need to print is the actual result, 65. So then what we can do is we can actually use these two variables, num1, num1 plus num2. Now, the result of this equation will be printed to the screen. So 10 plus 55 will not be printed. It's actually going to do the calculation and print the result, which is 65. So let's run it and see if that's actually working. First statement was this right here. These two statements are assignment. So they're actually not printing anything to the screen. We're just assigning value 10 to this variable and then value 55 to this variable. And then after, we're just printing something to the screen in this format, and it's going to print it just like this. All right, so now I'm done with this one. I'm going to get rid of that comment. If you want, you can leave it in there, obviously, but I'll go get rid of it. I'm trying to keep the program short. All right, so the next instruction we have is, what do we have? Create a variable named first name and store your first name to it and print out the variable. So I'm going to list like this. I'm going to copy this and paste it here in a form of a comment and divide that up into 2 lines. And create a variable first name. So they actually give you the name of the variable, what you need to call it. So they say first name right here, and that should equal to your name. So my name right here, my first name is Usman. I'll go and type that in, and that Usman goes in as a string. It is not a number, so I cannot type it like this. It is a string, is an English word. I need to type it inside the quotation. So now first name variable equals to my name, which is just Usman. And then I'm done with, I'm sorry, the last one is print out the variable. So I need to print out the variable. That is easy. I can just print out that variable name, just like this. I'm going to run it to make sure. Yep, so I got hello world, I got this, and I got my name on there. I can get rid of this comment. Simple enough so far. Let's see what we have next. Create a variable, last name, and print it out. So I'm not going to copy this. We have to do the exact same thing what we did above. So what I can do, I can copy this. And this is last name. And I'm actually going to change my last name. So this right here. and print out the last name. Just like this. So I'm gonna run it, make sure I got my first name and last name printed. And then we have over here, I'll put a message. My name is the string value of the first name and last name. Variables, be sure there's a space between it is and your first name, include a period at the end of the sentence. So there's formatting that they want you to do. They just don't want you to print everything else like blah. So my name is, and then you get a formatted. So we can use this to format it. We can use this for code. So we'll do print statement. We have they want you to print my name is, and so if you add a comma, I can add a space here, but when you add a comma like this, it adds the space automatically. So I don't have to add a comma here. So there are two ways of doing this. I'll show you both of them. My name is, so this space right here, doesn't matter how many spaces I add here, that does not matter. If you add a space here, that does matter. So this right here, all these spaces, they do not matter. I can add as many as I want. It's not going to say anything. The compiler is not going to say anything. But all the code right here, at least for right now, has to be on the same line. Make sure there's no extra spaces. All right. So my name is, I'm going to say first name, because that's what holds my first name. And comma, last name. And they want a period at the end, then we need to add a period just like this. We'll run it. And this is what it says. My name is Usman Rizvi, and the period, remember, the comma adds the space, right? So it doesn't matter how many spaces I have here, that does not matter, but it adds one space because there's a comma here. To get rid of that, what we can do is we can concatenate it. So we can concatenate using a plus sign. Plus sign does not add a space. So if I run it now, that space is gone. I can do the same thing here. But if I do a plus sign here, then the space in between it is gone. So I don't want to do that here. So here would make sense. And every time you want to concatenate two strings together, you can use a plus sign in Python. It will just put two strings right next to each other. Remember, last name is a string variable. Right here, this is a string because in quotation, and the period is a string as well. All right, what's next? Create a variable name. That we already did this, so this should be easy as of right now. You should be able to complete this. One more thing I want to show you about this. I did say there are multiple ways you can do this. So in here, it wasn't specific to create variable names. If you don't want to create variable names, you can do something like this. I'm sorry, not a comment. So you can do something like this. You can just type in 10. Then you do a plus sign, just like this. And then, what was it, 55? 10 plus 55, then you need an equal sign, all separated by a comma, and then that equals to 10 plus 55. So now these are not strings, right? So remember, these two are string data type. So when you can use a plus sign, it's concatenation. Now these two are numbers, they're integers. When you use a plus sign, it's not 1055, it's going to be the actual math. It's going to perform math on it and print out the result. So I'm going to run it, and you can see we have two of the same things. This one and this one works exact same way. All right. That should be enough to get you started on the homework, and you only have a few ones left. If you have any questions, always let me know. And yeah, good luck.